So first of all, to start this video, I'd like to say that despite the catchy title, the Boeing CFT-1 astronauts are not stranded on the ISS. The problems with Starliner thrusters that they are investigating specifically apply to docking maneuvers. There is no indication that the thrusters would be a problem on re-entry. However, the Starliner thrusters haven't worked properly on the last 2 flights, so they are gathering information because a lot of people are going to be asking if this is going to be happening on every flight. But there's a lot of interesting what-if scenarios, and because Crew Dragon is currently grounded because it flies on Falcon 9, there's now even more. In this video, I'll try to explain what would and wouldn't work if the situation were more serious. First of all, some safety rules that affect all this. Everyone on the ISS is required to have a seat on a docked spacecraft in the event of an emergency, including common ones like solar storms or close approaches of space debris. No one wants anyone to be truly stranded on an unsafe station. The other rule is that you can only have one spacecraft free-flying around the ISS at any time. Otherwise, you would need some sort of equivalent of air traffic control, and even minor problems would become difficult because you couldn't just focus on one spacecraft. Docking port compatibility is another big constraint. NASA has now standardized its docking ports, but only the 2 newest docking ports were built according to that standard, specifically IDA-2 and IDA-3. There is no IDA-1 because in a weird coincidence, that was destroyed when a second stage of Falcon 9 exploded in 2015, which was the last failure before the string of successes until the most recent incident. The most recent incident was also with the second stage of Falcon 9. The second stage is not reusable, it burns up in the atmosphere, so SpaceX has to manufacture a new second stage every time they fly, and they can't inspect one after it comes back like they can with the first stage. This is the same issue that Boeing is having now because the malfunctioning thrusters are jettisoned upon re-entry and so they don't make it to Earth to be inspected. Since there is currently both a Crew Dragon crew and a Starliner crew docked at the ISS, you can't send up a replacement unless you did something like jettison Starliner so that there was an open port. And during the time when there was an open port, the crew would be without an emergency vehicle for quite a while, since the replacement vehicle could not even approach the ISS until Starliner had completely left the station. There are old docking ports for the space shuttle, but those are obsolete, and even if they were put back into use, there's no flying spacecraft which is compatible with those ports. Interestingly, the ISS has 4 active Soyuz ports which are all compatible with each other. There is currently 1 Soyuz cruise ship attached to the ISS for Russian crew members in the event of emergency. So there's a free Soyuz port right now, which is actively used for crew rotations. The other 2 ports are used for cargo, but theoretically a crewed Soyuz could dock at one of those ports. So Soyuz is actually the easiest to launch for a rescue mission, and there has actually been 1 Soyuz rescue mission where 2 cosmonauts actually were stranded on the space station until it came up. Non-Russian astronauts have flown on Soyuz before, and the ISS is jointly operated by the US and the Russians, so this wouldn't be quite as difficult as you might think, despite current world politics. As far as putting extra passengers on vehicles that are currently docked, the Soyuz can't accommodate the weight of any more passengers on the way back to Earth, but Crew Dragon and Starliner both have 7 seats, and there are 6 NASA astronauts currently on the ISS. So theoretically, all 6 could fly down in one spacecraft, but then we would have to choose between having no one on the ISS to maintain the US side, or one of the NASA astronauts would have to stay behind and wouldn't have an emergency craft. So it turns out it's really not as simple as it would seem to launch a rescue mission to the ISS. It is possible, but only for really serious emergencies. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and possibly put a comment, and subscribe here if you want to see more content like this.